Hello there, internet. How are you today? So you might already know that I was not the biggest fan of the original season 4, even though I felt that it had a lot of potential. One of the things that I hoped for was that someone somewhere would be able to fix this fucking mess, and that was one of the things that motivated me to watch the remakes. I was in part looking for a show that could take the Sana season and completely restructure it, which is what it would need, in my opinion, in order to fix it. Not just a few changes here and there. No, very big structural changes. So this is not like a definitive guide on how to fix Sana season. I do not claim to speak for anybody other than myself. You might have completely different opinions on what was working with Sana season and what wasn't working. That's completely fine. You are free to express those opinions in the comments section below, in a Tumblr post, on your own YouTube channel, however you see fit. I just don't like it when people try to talk me out of having an opinion in the first place, but whatever. Disclaimers out of the way, I guess. In this video, we are gonna focus on that god-awful love triangle that needed to GTFO. So, fun fact about me, my opinions on whether or not Sana should even have a love interest changed over time. Before the season started, I was like, no way, Jose, because season 1 made me pretty uncomfortable with this whole Jonas and Eva relationship. I felt that William straight up made season 2 unwatchable for me. And overall, I just didn't approve of a lot of the guys that the girls got paired up with. I didn't want what happened to Nora to happen to Sana. I didn't have high hopes that if Sana were to get a love interest, that he would be a nice guy. And then we were introduced to Yusef. I very quickly changed my mind and I was like, Sana, you need to marry this dude and you need to have all 12 of his children. He is great. I love him. But then what happened? We got some very brief interactions that would of course end with the characters being interrupted. So we have some eye contact and heart eyes or angsty eye contact and looking away. Yusef would say something, Sana would run off, and they only had 3 real conversations in which you find out anything about the characters and what they like or don't like or what they believe or what they want, that sort of thing. 3 different scenes in a 10 episode season. Now, how do we fix this problem? We get rid of that fucking love triangle. With Isak's Hell Weeks, they made sense. They all led to Isak growing as a character, and he needed to be in a specific place where he can be okay whether he and Evan are together or not. But with Sana, the Hell Weeks were pointless and frustrating and served no real purpose other than to get William and Nora back together. Now, I've heard people say, I don't understand why in this version of Skam, like in Skam France, why did the William and Nora characters have to break up here? William and Nora broke up in the original because Thomas Hayes, the actor who played William, left the show. I see that and I raise you the original William and Nora did not have to break up at all. Okay, so the actor who played William left the show. How could we possibly deal with that? How about with this? Hey, where's William? He went off to university. Why didn't Nora go with him? She's still in high school, and she's not gonna drop out of high school when she's 17 and move in with her boyfriend in a different country. No, that would be fucking ridiculous. They could do the long distance thing. They already had their season, which was the longest season with the longest episodes. They don't need to continue their story into Sana's season. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But anyway, in the original, we're given this explanation of why Norhelm broke up, and it was because of the whole Nico situation. So the real tragedy isn't that William failed to support Nora properly in her time of need when she was the one who had undergone something really traumatic. No, William was actually the real victim in this situation. Come on. The real tragedy is not that Nico got off with what he did with zero punishment whatsoever. He's completely free to do exactly what he did to Nora to somebody else, although I think that next time he'll just pick a girl who's a little bit older than Nora so that he doesn't get charged with kiddie porn.
Barnepornografi? Det jo helt tullete.
Sitt til retten.
No, the real tragedy is that this led to William and Nora breaking up. If we're gonna have a sexual assault storyline, how about we focus mostly on how Nora copes with it and not make it an obstacle to that relationship and not make it out like William was the real victim here when he wasn't the one who was fucking assaulted. And I think that Nora as a character should have agency because she became completely passive after her season, and she lacked any identity outside of the Norhelm relationship. Her life is on hold because she's no longer together with her shitty boyfriend. I would prefer it if with Nora she was in a place where she could thrive with or without a boyfriend. She had an identity outside of that relationship. She was proactive, and maybe she used her friends for support, as we all lean on our friends for support, but her friends, and Sana specifically, did not have to solve that problem for her. Could have been something that she decides to do, and it needed to happen away from the main story. I think that Nora should have been as present in Sana's story as Sana was in Nora's story, because if I recall correctly, Nora didn't talk to Sana in the first 3 seasons in general. There's not a lot of interactions between those two other than that one scene, which we'll get back to. Most of what you learn about Sana in season 2, it's because the other girls were asking questions, they were engaging in conversation with her while Nora was like on her phone or something. The love triangle, all it did was get William and Nora back together, but in doing that it completely put Sana and Yusef's relationship on hold, and like I said, they only had those 3 clips. I think that the scenes where the girls are all talking about William and Nora's relationship, they outnumber any of the scenes where Sana and Yusef talk to each other. I think that Nora and Yusef actually talked a lot more than Sana and Yusef did in Sana's season. Remember how at the end of episode 8, Yusef is right there. Sana could have talked to him. She could have confessed her feelings for Yusef to Yusef directly or whatever the fuck, but no, instead we're talking to Nora, and then Nora scrolls past her phone. Here we see documented all of the times when Yusef and Sana should have talked and could have talked, but didn't because we had to prioritize angst over any relationship development. And I'm still bitter that apparently there was time for William to have his own clip, and Penetrator Chris had his own clip, but Yusef didn't even have a clip. Hello, why didn't we see Sana take Yusef to the airport or something? But anyway, after all of those texts, one would think, okay, now's the time. After 4 long episodes of no talking at all, you know, except for that little small basketball clip, they would finally talk to each other. But no, that relationship is secondary to William and Nora's. It ended with William coming back. That was far more important in Sana's season. I think that the first 20 minutes or so of episode 9 were mainly filler contents. I didn't really need an update on William and Nora's relationship. I heard enough about William and Nora's relationship.
Men nå snakker vi egentlig om Sana din, så vi kan jo snakke mer om det etterpå, for nå snakker vi om Sana og Cute Muslim Boy.
The questions that Sana asks about interfaith relationships, it just goes to show that between episode 5 and the beginning of episode 9, there was 0 growth whatsoever. This conversation that Sana has with her mom, you could have easily cut that and pasted that into episode 5. You even could have put that in episode 4. if you want to be more efficient with your time. Now, the last clip of episode 9, that was very good. But I'd like to point out that with these remakes, they can't give us 40-minute long episodes. They can't just drop 20-minute long clips like that. So it's very important for the remakes to give us a chance to get to know Yusef over the course of the entire season, not over the course of a few clips, because those clips need to be shorter in the remakes anyway. I complained about the love triangle basically since it first appeared on the show, and somebody commented something interesting, that they think that the love triangle is valid because Nora is white, ethnically Norwegian, she's very conventionally attractive, and that brings up this issue that Sana mentioned about not feeling Norwegian enough or not feeling pretty enough, feeling like she can't compare to somebody like Nora because Nora represents something that guys would want. But I think that we could deal with that insecurity in a very different way that doesn't completely derail Sana and Yusef's entire storyline. And we'll go back to what I think we could have done later. With stories, we should be concerned about character development, about relationship development and character growth. And sometimes to get from point A to point B, there's going to be obstacles in the way that arise naturally, and we have to struggle with that because there's a conflict in our values, in our behavior, or what we think we can do. In order to move forward, we have to resolve that conflict. So conflict should happen as a result of a character moving throughout the story and not happen to prevent a character from doing anything substantial for 4 episodes. The piece of conflict that I was 100% on board with was the religious conflict, which apparently is a controversial opinion. I think that making Yusef an atheist was a fantastic idea. I've seen people say that they want the Yusefs of the remakes to be Muslim. I'm not against the idea if he is somebody who has the same religion as Sana but a completely different interpretation and completely different beliefs. That could be really interesting because you can have 2 people who are different religions but they can have more in common than 2 people of the same religion, and I think that could be explored. And I'd also be interested in Yusef as a different religion entirely, like Hindu Yusef. I would love to see a Hindu Yusef. Okay, I know you guys didn't ask about me, but I'll just share some personal information about yours truly. I was raised in a monotheistic religion, was taught that all other religions are wrong, and the thought process that led to me becoming the godless heathen that you now know today. I just couldn't help wondering, if there is only one God and there is only one religion that's correct, what are the chances that I just happen to be born into the right one? And if I had to be honest with myself, I realized that I was trying to justify my beliefs by starting with a conclusion and then trying to find evidence to match that conclusion instead of going with the evidence and forming a conclusion based off of wherever the evidence happened to lead me. So I think that maybe if Yusef was of a different religion than Sana, then that could bring up that question, because I've noticed that when you have characters who maybe were brought up religious but then they stopped believing in God, it's always because some traumatic shit happened and that's what caused them to question their faith. And it's never like what I just brought up, even though I've talked to other people who've left their religions that they were brought up in, and that's a common question that a lot of people have. Why this religion and not that religion? When season 4 was going down, I saw somebody complain that they don't like the idea of Sana changing her values or questioning her values over some guy. Whose values are they if Sana doesn't even know why that rule exists, that she can't marry somebody who's not Muslim?
Det veldig mye I islam som ikke passer for oss også, som ikke passer for meg. Som for eksempel synet på homofili. Eller hvorfor sier islam at muslimske menn, de får lov til å gifte seg med ikke-troende kvinner, mens muslimske kvinner, de kan ikke gjøre det? Ikke det litt kjønnsdiskriminerende? I hvert fall I det samfunnet vi lever I. Og når islam sier at Koranen skal kunne tilpasse seg alle samfunn du lever I.
I didn't really like that after Sana talked with her mother or after Yusef made her smile and then her prayer alarm went off. She would then make a snap decision over what her relationship with Yusef would be like and cut him out of her life. Out of guilt or shame, she would literally think about it for like 2 seconds and then make a snap decision based off of that. And this goes back to what I said about how I want Nora to be as present in Sana's season as Sana was in Nora's season. You remember this conversation that Sana had with Nora?
Du sterk og selvstendig når du kan endre meningene dine. Uansett hvilket kjønn som endrer de. Og det jo ikke noe galt I at han utfordrer måten du tenker på.
I feel like that applied way more to Sana's situation than it ever did to the whole Norhelm situation. I would actually respect it a lot more if Sana knew the reason why she wasn't supposed to date somebody who wasn't Muslim. If she really wrestled with that, asked really deep questions about that. We got to know Yusef over the course of the season, and if she decides that no, this does not hold up with my values, and I strongly agree with the idea that I should marry a Muslim, and then she decides, wow, Yusef is a great guy. She likes him a lot, but this just can't work out. I would actually respect that. I would respect that a lot more than what we got of season 4, where again, we only saw Yusef for a couple of clips. That was ridiculous. And I definitely respect that a lot more than the idea of Yusef having to change, having to convert in order to please Sana. All that said, of course I would prefer it if Sana and Yusef were endgame and that they ended up together. I don't have to agree with the character to respect their decisions. What matters to me most is that Sana undergoes that questioning process and then she comes to a conclusion that makes sense to her. It doesn't have to be the conclusion that I personally would draw. But instead, we mainly just circled around the same question over and over. And we could have gone a lot deeper with the whole interfaith issue. I was actually really excited that not only did we find out that Yusef isn't Muslim, but we found that out at the end of episode 4. One of the issues that I had with season 3 was that we found out that Evan was bipolar. At the end of episode 8, they don't talk at all until the end of episode 9, and then we don't really get to hear much about Evan's experiences with that when he got diagnosed, and I thought that could have been really interesting. So when we found out that Yusef wasn't Muslim in episode 4, I was like, great, then we have 6 episodes where we can really get to know him and get to know him on a really deep level, and yet that didn't happen. We know him a lot less than we know any of the other love interests, and that's so sad because he was my favorite one. He was the best love interest that you could have given to a character. We just learned so much more about him when the characters were actually talking. You can see that Sana, she's happy, but she's also being challenged. We learn more about the characters. They're growing, they're developing, and it's actually enjoyable to watch, whereas 4 weeks of Hell Week were not enjoyable, did not facilitate any growth, served no real purpose other than to give us very pointless and frustrating angst. I was wondering that since Yusef is not religious, what are his views on waiting until you're married to have sex? And then we can have Sana being insecure about, like, maybe he has a past, or maybe he doesn't have a past, maybe he hasn't slept with somebody, but he would be waiting until marriage maybe just because Sana was gonna wait and not because that's something that's really important to him. So that's a way we could bring up that insecurity that we mentioned earlier without derailing the whole story. We could also explore meeting the family. I think that that's something that would happen quicker in this relationship. I did really like that carrot peeling scene. In his first conversation with Sana, he said that he wanted to have 12 kids. When you're dating somebody, not just because you find them attractive and want to be with them, but you're also dating with the intention of finding somebody that you want to marry, you're going to want to talk about those sorts of things. If they want children, if they want the same things that you want. And speaking of children, how would they raise children if they were to have children? Of course, I'd say this given that I'm a godless heathen, as I mentioned before. Here's what I do. I'd say, mommy believes in this, daddy believes in that, Auntie Nora believes in this. We don't actually know. You are free to go to church or go to the mosque, go to temple, wherever the hell you need to go in order to explore those questions. You do you. I mean, that's how I wish I had been raised, rather than be told that this way of thinking is the only correct way. But I don't know, that's something that they could have discussed had they had more than 3 different conversations at a time, and if we actually got to see them date and see their relationship move forward. So my point is that instead of just having Sana cut Yusef out of her life without really talking to him at all, and instead of wasting our fucking time with this boring as fuck love triangle, you can explore all of the different questions that being in an interfaith relationship would bring up, because there's a lot that you could explore that you didn't, but you coulda. So you might have noticed that in this video, I only focused on the Sana and Yusef relationship, because if I were to talk about what went down with Sana's relationship with the girls, Isak, the whole Sing fight, that bench conversation, and how I feel about that, I do in fact have very strong opinions about that bench scene. We would be here all fucking day, and I don't have time for that. I have a plane to catch in like 2 hours. So maybe next time, not next time, eventually I can make other videos where I talk to you about those issues. But this was the one that I had time for right now. So I guess I'll see you later. Bye bye. Hi, so I am back home in San Francisco. I was procrastinating on watching some of season 4 of Drug, but can I just say, I just finished the 4th episode and more progress has been made in these 4 episodes than were made in all of season 4 of the original Scum. We stand. Thank you, Germany. Thank you. I think that you're gonna give me the season that I fucking want and that I asked for.